Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Caduceus Connect, Strengthening Bonds with Alumni. My name is Afrin, and I'm honored to serve as the Secretary of Caduceus this year. On behalf of our entire officer team, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're really excited to have you here. This event is all about connection, bridging the gap between current students and amazing alumni who once stood exactly where we are right now. And our guest speakers, as you will hear, have gone on to do amazing things in medicine, dentistry, and healthcare. And they face a lot of challenges, found their passions, and gained experiences that they're here to share with all of us tonight. To help guide us through tonight's event, I'm thrilled to introduce your MC, Kashish Shrestha, one of our incredible officers who helped organize this event. She'll be leading our conversations with the speakers and making sure everything flows smoothly. So thank you so much, Kashish.
Thank you, Efren. Thank y'all for joining us, all the great alumni. So if y'all want to start out introducing yourselves, spend like 3 to 5 minutes saying your name, the time that you spent in Caduceus, your graduating class year, and then what you're currently doing now. Does anybody want to volunteer to start?
I'll go first. My name's Rebecca. I graduated UT in biochemistry in 2023. I was a part of Caduceus from like 2019 to 2021, and I most recently worked on with Caduceus was the next generation physician project, and I can dive more into that as we go through our Zoom meeting and just opening our panel. Does anyone else, do you want me to popcorn and just choose somebody else, or do you want me somebody else to volunteer by themselves?
Good. We can popcorn.
Okay, I'm gonna do Bobby.
Hey y'all, my name's Bobby. I've been part of Caduceus from like all 4 years of my college career, 2019 to 2023. My last year being Caduceus president. And after I graduated, I took a gap year and I ended up teaching high school chemistry, which was a very interesting experience, a really um, wholesome experience of all in all, some ups and downs that came with that. But now I'm a current MS1 at UTRGV School of Medicine down the Rio Grande Valley, my hometown. And I'll popcorn it to Tanya.
Hi guys. I was in Caduceus for all 4 years as well. I'm a little under the weather, so I apologize if my voice sounds a little weird. But I am well, okay, yeah. So like Bobby, I was also co-president with Michael last year. Um, and I was philanthropy and volunteering before that. And then I'm a first year at TCOM now in Fort Worth. Oh shoot. I'm gonna popcorn it to Sam.
Hey y'all, my name is Sam. Let's see, I graduated this past May, so I graduated in class of 2024. I was in Caduceus all 4 years also, so from 2020 to 2024. Yeah, let's see. I was the fundraising officer, and then lastly, I was a secretary. And then yeah, I studied microbiology, infectious disease at UT, and then yeah, I'm an incoming student at TCOM also. And then I can go ahead and popcorn to Lily.
Hi everyone, I'm Lily. I was in Caduceus, I think either 2019 or 2020 to 2022. I was a medical resources officer my last year, and brought like a bunch of doctor guest speakers, which was really cool. And then I graduated in biochem in 2022 and then went straight to med school at UTMB in Galveston. And now I'm an MS3 and I'm planning on applying vascular surgery. Oh, and then I'll popcorn it to Caroline.
Hi, well, it's so nice to see so many really familiar faces, but I'm Caroline. I was in Caduceus through my undergrads at 2018, 2021. I graduated with a degree in biology, then I took a gap year, and then now I'm at Texas Tech in Amarillo, just for my clinical rotations. And let's see, back in Caduceus, I was the medical resources officer, just like Lily. And I forgot what else we need to say, but I'm from San Antonio. And I'm glad to talk to you guys today. And I'll popcorn it over to Pedro.
Hey y'all, nice to meet you. My name is Pedro. I was in Caduceus from 2017 to 2021. My last 2 years, I was philanthropy officer. I'm currently an MS4 at UT Southwestern. Just matched into anesthesia at Tufts. So really excited to talk to y'all. I'll popcorn it over to Allison.
Hi everyone. I'm Allison. I think I was in Caduceus from 2019 to 2021. And I was the social chair my senior year. Am currently at the Long School of Medicine or UT Health San Antonio. And I'm an MS4 and I matched into OBGYN at University of Tennessee in Memphis. Um, and let's see, has Alina gone yet? Oh, Alina.
Nah. I was in Caduceus from 2018 to 2021, graduated from UT in 2021 with a neuro degree, and I'm currently at Texas A&M College of Dentistry in Dallas, previously known as Baylor College of Dentistry. So yeah, as you can probably guess, I started pre-med, joined Caduceus, loved the environment, so I kind of just stayed even when I switched tracks. And then I was secretary, and then I want to say, I think I was co-president, but the COVID years are kind of blurry, so we'll just say secretary for now. And then I think I'm the last one. Is there anyone else who hasn't gone?
I think that was all.
Okay.
Thank y'all for your introductions and congratulations for y'all who matched into residency. That's great to hear. So the first question we can go into is about gap years and if anybody wants to unmute and talk about if they took a gap year or if they did not, what was the deciding factor? And Bobby, if you want to talk about how your teaching impacted you during your gap year and how that experience was.
Yeah, for sure. So I think the main reason why I took a gap year was I guess after junior year, like I had a good conversation with myself, debating whether if I'm competitive or not. And ultimately I decided, I don't think so. So I think I want to do something with that gap year to either work or volunteer or do something to make myself a more competitive applicant. And and s- and teaching kind of just was always a something in the back of my head because both of my parents were teachers, and so had a really strong education background. I have a lot of family members that are educators as well, and so I ended up doing that route. And fortunately, I was able to work at a high school straight out of undergrad, which is kind of unheard of. Well, work as a teacher at any school, let alone at a high school. Um, but fortunately, I didn't need like a certificate. I worked at Idea Public Schools for those who are from the Valley or from San Antonio, around those areas. You're very familiar with Idea schools. Um, and so I didn't need a teaching certificate, and that was a great plus. And how that helped me, I would say, get into med school, it helped me be more confident in myself, especially when it came to public speaking. Every teacher's kind of to talk. You got to talk to students, got to talk to parents, and got to talk to coworkers as well. So you're talking with different crowds, different age groups, with different backgrounds and knowledge experiences, and so able to navigate all those conversations, trying to understand where they're coming from. I think it helped me communicate my thoughts a lot better, and it gave me unique experiences. Not only of course seeing a big need of healthcare in the valley, but also a big need of of education. So I think that helped me ultimately get to where I am today.
Perfect. Thank you. Um, Anybody else? Would else like to talk about their gap year experiences and what they had done?
So I took a forced gap year. So I graduated UT early and I underestimated how much goes into applying to med school. So I just applied straight out of it. And I did not get in the first time. So that was kind of heartbreaking. So I took that gap year and like reapplied. And honestly, it's like the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm actually really happy I did not get in the first time. I was able to work like in an ophthalmologist's office. I was able to gain experience, kind of talk to patients, take a little bit of a break, honestly, which was really nice. Worked out, ate well, gained a good like kind of balance of what I wanted my life, like lifestyle I wanted it to be. So then going into medical school, I kind of was able to take those like healthy habits into it and like kind of refreshed and went into it a little more fresh. And so personally, if I had to do it again, I would pick to choose a gap year. And being a reapplicant is not the worst thing in the world because going into med school is hard. And so if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Just reapply and all will end well. I promise.
Caroline, you're like preaching to the choir. Like that is literally me. I feel like we've kind of had like maybe like a similar kind of experience. So when I graduated, I in 23, I started working at a fertility practice. So I was working with reproductive endocrinologists. So they're called REIs. It's a subspecialty within OBGYN. Um, and I kind of took like a maybe like I was trying to rush my journey in a way is like I didn't give myself enough time to study for the MCAT and then I kind of rushed applied and then I didn't know what actually goes into applying. I was like, oh my goodness, I thought it was just a primary application. I didn't know the secondaries would ask like maybe 3 times the amount of essays that you would probably just answer on your primary application. And so it didn't work out the first time around, but for me, but I still wouldn't take back, I guess, not starting right away, like getting the rejection, like it kind of hurt. But again, like there's no way in my mind I was mentally ready to start medical school. And I think me even working at a fertility practice really just like opened my eyes, like, oh, it solidified why I want to go into medicine. And that came from just watching the physicians and me kind of talking with them also, like what the reasoning behind diagnostic tests that they use, why using maybe an oral medication instead of an injectable medication um, for assisting in getting the patient pregnant. Um, Kind of like getting a rudimentary, I guess, understanding of maybe how REIs curate treatment plans um, is like I feel like is making a big difference. I think in the overall reason why I want to be a physician. So um, I guess that's the kind of gap year that I took. I think when it comes to taking a gap year, maybe if you have like a lot of clinical experience, maybe you can, I don't know, maybe see where maybe a skill that you want to build, like maybe like public speaking, like go kind of jumping back to like Bobby, like maybe you want to, maybe it'd be a good idea to try being a teacher. Or for me, I just didn't have a lot of clinical experience. So I wanted to really do that in my gap year, focus on getting a clinical job. So
Great, thank you. Um, Another question in terms of applications and gap years, what would y'all say would be like the most challenging part from your application process or uh, just anything in general with the path to medicine? And how did y'all, or how are y'all overcoming it? And what are some strategies that you would recommend towards others?
Okay, I can try and speak since I think I'm one of the people that applied pretty recently. Um, I think the big thing is planning out when you think you're going to get your secondaries. People say that you should pre-write your secondaries, and obviously, like that is sound advice. Um, I tried to pre-write a lot of mine, but I ended up getting my secondaries back the first day of a summer camp that I was volunteering at. So we would get like 2 hour breaks, and on every single break, I was writing secondaries down for the ones that I hadn't finished. So I just think timing wise, you should just be more prepared, going into it. I feel like in terms of things that you're looking for in your application, just know and be honest with yourself. Like, what do you have? What do you not have? What's your passion? What's not? And be able to kind of emulate that in what you're writing. So for me, I really cared a lot about service. Like, I always did volunteering positions, I always did philanthropy positions. Oh, sorry about that. I did a lot of writing about those volunteer experiences and not so much about the clinical side. So the schools that I applied to, their secondaries also included questions about service more than they did research. So I would just be conscious of what types of schools you also want to apply to as well.
I kind of want to piggyback off what Tanya said, especially at planning out your secondaries. I know when I got my secondaries around, it was like my third or fourth week of teaching. And so I was like, "Ooh, okay, so I have to balance, making these lesson plans, but also like writing these essays on the weekend." And I would just like, I burn myself out trying to juggle both, but they had to get done. And if I were to like pre-write them or pre-write more, like back like in the summer, it would have saved me like a lot of time, and I could have got like earlier like interview dates. Um, but then also like there's not one perfect applicant. Like we can all do things like to improve one aspect of our application, but it's just doing what you can and do stuff that you're really passionate about. Don't do things just because you need it for like your application. Like if you're really not about volunteering, then don't write about volunteer. If you love clinicals, do that. If you love research, do that. Just when you're writing your essays, you have to like when they read it, they should be like saying that this person is really passionate about X, Y, and Z. And also utilize some of the resources like the school offers. I know when I was writing my primaries, and set my primaries, I use a writing center. I believe it's still part of y'all's tuition, so it's big. So use that. I think I visited them like 9 times just to make sure I got like the right uh like really solid essays, and make sure get a lot of people to read it, make sure it flows, make sure it makes sense. Like truly explain why you want to do medicine.
Piggybacking off of that real quick. What I found very helpful, or I applied this past year, so very, very recent also. What I found very helpful in kind of avoiding burnout throughout all the primary and secondary writing was pretty much just kind of making the whole process into like a storyline, if that makes sense. Like my big portion of my application was relating to advocacy. I did a lot of advocacy work in my undergrad, especially in the queer and trans community and outside of that. So yeah, most of my primary and secondaries were kind of going deeper and deeper into the work that I spent in that realm, and kind of just making a cohesive kind of story definitely strengthens that in my opinion, and also makes things a lot easier than kind of going scatterbrained, writing a lot of different varying essays. But
Thank you. Um, and Alina, would you like to talk about what made you switch your path from medicine to dental, and what your experience is like right now in dental school?
Yeah, so I ended up shadowing kind of in between my second and third year in undergrad, and I was looking for like medical shadowing opportunities, and then I just happened to have a dentist appointment like at my own dentist's office, and I was like, oh, like I don't know, let me go ahead and shadow here too. So it was kind of a little bit random, and I kind of was having doubts about medicine at that time just because I don't know, I didn't really feel as passionate about it anymore for some reason. I think also just the fact that I was kind of imagining medicine to be more hospital based, and I didn't really have a great uh didn't really like hospitals at that time. So a couple different things were kind of going into my sudden doubts. But then when I started shadowing, I was like, okay, the medical shadowing stuff is all right. Like outpatient areas are doable. But when I shadowed at my dentist's office, it was just I immediately felt a connection, and I was like, okay, this is a little interesting. Like I should definitely consider this because if I'm kind of looking forward to those shadowing days more, like that might be a sign that I maybe don't want to do medicine. And it's really scary because you kind of go in with that. If you're going in with a pre-med track, like you think like this is it, this is what I'm doing. And it's really scary to like change that, especially like kind of late in the game. But with dentistry, it's like still similar enough. It's still a healthcare field. But for me, like what kind of drew me to it was the fact that, you know, it's a little bit more hands-on. You kind of get like the artistic element to it. You also get to I feel like do more with in terms of procedures. And I was really drawn to like those kinds of things, whether it's like crown preps or even like oral surgery stuff. Like you have a lot of options in terms of what you can do even in general dentistry. You also don't have to specialize or like you don't have to do a residency because after your 4 years of dental school, you can graduate and start working as a general dentist right away, which was, you know, kind of an attractive option. But overall, just like feeling more of a connection with the kind of day-to-day, what that looked like and work-life balance. There were like a lot of different factors that kind of helped me make that decision. What else? And so, yeah, just kind of going back to like how scary it can be to switch, but then with the switch to dentistry, really the only thing I had to do was take 3 more prerequisites. And I think that might have already changed to where like the medical prerequisites might include these 3. But when I was in school, microbiome, anatomy, and physiology were not required for medicine, but they were required for dentistry. And so, yeah, if they are required now for medicine, then there's really not much of a difference if you do end up switching, you know, in terms of the prereqs. And then even like in terms of the entire application, like my research experience still applied, my volunteering experience still applied, like everything kind of still worked in terms of applying. And I was a little bit nervous for like shadowing and like clinical experience because that, you know, I couldn't I felt like that was one of the weaker points of my application. But really just like taking the time to do as much as you can. And like you said, like if there's something that you're passionate about or that is a little bit of a stronger portion of your application, you can definitely hype that up more and then kind of use that to balance out because not every aspect of your application is going to be perfect.
Thank you so much. Another question. For your specific medical programs, what do you like about it? And whenever you were choosing which medical schools to apply to, what were y'all's major values in considering them?
Right, was this question like what values in the med school that you go to do you like?
Yes, and
Okay.
in general, just like what you like about your medical school program as of now.
Okay. I go to UTMB and I like love it so much. I think if you want like a chill, like don't study like that much kind of vibe, try to go to UTMB. It's literally like island life. And I think, I mean, obviously, like, yeah, you look for values in med school, but like obviously the one that you match to is like the one that you're gonna go to, really. Um, but I'm like so glad that I matched here. Um, and I've just like met the best people. And there's so many, I mean, it's like the oldest med school in Texas, which it has like so much history and alumni, and that's really helpful. And especially in pretty much any field, like there's a big name that works at UTMB in any specialty, and there's so many great mentors that you could find. Um, and I just know that it's prepared me to be a really good doctor. So I would say like I've just been like really happy here. So I think you like I definitely wanted something that was more chill. I definitely didn't want to be the person that was like studying 24/7. I wanted to have like more of a social life and make a lot of friends. Because also like part of being a doctor is being like a regular human. I think UTMB really stresses out work-life balance. So can't say any better things about UTMB.
I'll go for tech. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to go to Lubbock. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's just like, it's just tech, you know. But I was actually really excited I matched here. Both times I interviewed, I just got a really good feeling from the faculty and the students there. They had like students just talking, giving like advice, and everyone seemed like very like a family, very collegial. And since I've been here, that's exactly what it is. Like, you have a problem, all the faculty are super easy to talk to, like just about life, about school, they're struggling. And just being able to be a very supportive environment. Like, all of our classmates will like send their study guides and Anki schedules and whatnot. So we like to like help each other out, which I feel like is a really big part of med school, since you will learn the same content practically everywhere. But I feel like it's kind of the environment you surround yourself in. And also it's very easy to find opportunities because everyone's so nice. You can be like, hey, I'm interested in ophthalmology. Can I do research with you? And they're like, yeah, come on over. So I feel like that was a really big driving point to tech. And honestly, Lubbock is not that bad. It's not like a sandstorm. No, there are sandstorms, but it's not the desert. There's Torchies, there's Chewies. So like it's literally just like a smaller version of like San Antonio. But either
Galveston
way,
doesn't have that, so
what'd you say?
Galveston doesn't have any of that, so Lubbock
Yeah.
is almost better in that regard.
So I mean, like it's not the middle of nowhere, if that's what your like driving factor to stay away from Lubbock is. So yeah.
I can speak for Southwestern. So I think when I was interviewing, big thing for me was the people. So uh, the people interviewing me, the students, did they seem genuine? Did they seem happy? Did they seem like they were doing okay and they were friends? And that's something I definitely felt just when I spoke to those students, and that's something that's continued when I've been here. I think for me also having resources as far as if I want to go research or I want to get involved in a project, would the program kind of have the reach to support me in that? And I think that was definitely true. And then also kind of something that I didn't consider as much at the time, but now I think was a really big deal was our first year and a half here, the pre-clerkship phase is pass fail. So I think that's a really, really big thing as you're getting into med school and you're adjusting. It is a huge weight off your shoulders to just have to pass. And it's not like pass or fail, but they keep ranks. Like it's truly just pass fail. Um, so a 99 is the same as a 71. And obviously you're trying to learn the material, trying to do great, but it's nice to know that all you have to do is pass. So I've enjoyed that, and um, I think those are things that were important.
I'll talk about long school medicine for a little bit, just because I don't want y'all to feel like I don't like my school. I just love my school. But I would say I definitely can echo Caroline's sentiment in that like there's a huge sense of community here. We have this big class Google Drive where everyone puts their notes and free like PDF files of exam practice exams that you would normally have to pay for, things like that. And that drive also gets passed down from class to class. So the the MS1s will have access to things that the MS2s were able to pass down to them. So just that big sense of community is really awesome. Being able to, share that and get help from your classmates. And then another really cool thing about UTESCA right now is I feel like we're just massively expanding. We just opened a new women's and children's tower. We just opened a specialty surgery center. They just opened a MD Anderson, and they're just constantly building new buildings. And so I think that's going to bring a lot like more research and more opportunities in the coming years, which I think is really cool.
For me, I'll talk about UTRGV. So it is one of the newer schools in Texas, and for me, I really wanted to come back home. I was not in Austin for so long. I really wanted to bring what I learned from Austin back home. And interviewing at UTRGV, just like I felt like welcome back. It's time to uh, take what I learned from Austin and bring it back home. But Another cool things I really like my school is like it's a small class. It's about 55, 56 of us, and we get to know our professors like on first. They get to know us on a first name basis after going to some lectures for some time. Like they'll call you by your name, and they recognize your face, and it's really cool. You coming from big school, like, well, I'm just like a number, but no, like you feel heard when you talk to your professors and to your deans as well. Um, well, I think we just opened up also a surgery center, so it's really big for a school. Hopefully, it brings more opportunities, more physicians down here, and hopefully some future more residency programs. Being that we're a new school. Um, Also, about the pass fail situation, it's really we have that here too. I'm really thankful for that. Like a 70, same thing as a 90. You not to say like, oh, I just want to learn just for a 70. No, 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 not at all. But but just knowing that like that burden is off your shoulders is really cool too. And also, like our tests are retired NBME questions and not professor written. So that was kind of like another thing I was looking for in school is like, okay, so I know like what I'm tested on could very well be similar to like our board exam. So that was another additional factor as well. And also, I think the Edinburgh, McAllen area is kind of like a really smaller like San Antonio or like a Katy, Texas. You know. You might have to travel a little more if you want to go to the beach, about a good like 90 minutes or so. But that's okay. You know, there's more restaurants opening up in the McAllen Edinburgh area, and that's always cool to get to meet up with friends. You know, just uh, relieve some stress whenever we're not studying.
Okay, I think I can speak for TCOM for a second. For those of y'all that don't know, TCOM is an osteopathic medical school. So everyone else that's spoken is going to an allopathic medical school. Big difference about this is we basically just take a class called OMM, which is osteopathic manipulative medicine. When I was applying to medical school, I think I was actually a little bit more drawn to DO, but I think it's a little confusing because it's just like not really widely talked about, I think, still. And so a lot of people just aren't fully educated on like what the differences are. However, for me, I think I was also for a second debating whether or not I wanted to go down the route of physical therapy versus medicine. So OMM is kind of nice because it almost feels like a mix, even though it's not. So that is something that obviously makes TCOM different than a lot of the other Texas schools here. Incarnate Word and Sam Houston are the other DO schools in Texas. I would say TCOM is probably the best. I really do love it. Um, and I think in terms for me, like looking at schools and applying, I mean, TCOM is in Fort Worth and my family is based in Dallas, so that was important to me. But it was also important to just get in anywhere. I'm pretty passionate about primary care, and TCOM is ranked as a tier one school for primary care, so I knew that they would be able to help me in that as a major goal. Um, I also think that echoing what like Allison and Caroline said about having a community at a school, I think TCOM has such a large class, but also we have a really good community and like good mindset about medicine and learning, and everyone really is just here to support each other. Um, so that's been really nice. We are pass fail honors, so it doesn't really make it that much different, but everyone shares resources, everything like that. So I really do love it here. I think the people will really make your experience. So when you're trying to figure out what school you want to go to, think about what area you want to be in, the kind of lifestyle, like Lily said. It is huge here too to kind of have work-life balance. Also in medical school, like a lot of your peers will be like you can think about your class size. Like a lot of my peers are married or in relationships and are handling other obligations outside of their life. So they treat medical school as like a 9 to 5, and then they're out kind of with their own worlds, versus a lot of us are also younger and have kind of created communities here within student orgs and things like that. So I would just look online and see or talk to us and ask us what it's like.
Thank you. One of our members was asking, what was y'all's drive to keep your passion throughout medical school? Um, She said, I know sometimes people lose their passion, so maybe what was y'all's personal drive and what led that?
I'll go first. So, one thing that I'm a part of at my school is called Student Run Clinic. Basically, about 30 miles from our school, there's a clinic, and it's a volunteer basis in which a couple physicians from the UT system come and volunteer some of their services, and a lot of M1s, M2s, and M3s go there and volunteer as well. And basically, we're doing patient encounters, real life patient encounters. Sometimes it's establishing new care or re or just a visit about refilling their medications, but being in an actual patient setting, talking to patients, coming up with an action plan and presenting to a physician. You literally practicing medicine. And sometimes when you're studying for so long, for weeks and months, and sometimes you lose focus of what you're eventually going to do, and you're trapped in studying um, for exams and for really in depth information about a lot of diseases and pathophysiology and medicines and stuff like that, you kind of forget what the end goal is. So I think volunteering with them every other month, it's just like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. This is going to be really worth it. And I feel really fulfilled doing it because, at the end of the day, I'm helping this patient out. Whether it's just coming a follow up again, like just trying to refill meds or just trying to establish care, no matter like how small, like I was a part of like that whole operation, it meant the world, and it's just knowing that you're actually going to do this and you getting glimpses of what you're going to do in the future, um, just motivates me to continue on what I'm doing.
I wanted to
Yeah,
say,
kind of. Oh, go.
oh, sorry. I have to go after this, but I'll just say this real quick. Like, I would say staying grateful and like realizing just remembering the privilege you have of being in med school is really what's kept me going and like kept me really, really excited is that like you get to do so many things that like the average person does not. Like you get to cut open a cadaver like your first year, you get to like go work in the hospital and help with patients, help with surgeries, like just even the little stuff like changing dressings or asking patients, just getting to talk to them. And um, I think that's just really cool that your job gets to be something very like actually hands-on and you're walking around talking to all kinds of different people every day, like patients, nurses, doctors, PT, like all of that stuff. So just know that like when you're in med school, like you're getting to do something so cool. Okay. Bye. Thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us.
I wanted to piggyback off Bobby's point. I think when you're doing pre-clerkship stuff and you're in the classroom a lot, it can be kind of hard because all you see are assignments and tests and stuff like that. So definitely getting out and doing things and getting patient interactions is really important. And I think something that was really also essential for me was having kind of a purpose and going back to that. So why did I get into medicine? And for me, it was to be a patient advocate, to be there for patients kind of at their lowest points. I think at the basis, when someone has, disease, illness, some sort of problem, they're not at 100%. They're kind of at a lower, like, not to say powerless, but they've lost some of who they are. So we have the ability to kind of help them with that and be there along the way as they improve and kind of get better. So being able to help people in a really difficult time is something that was important for me. Um, and doing that um, was kind of something I had to remind myself at times. And that doesn't mean that the difficult times aren't difficult, and that you're not allowed to be upset that you have 8 hours of studying to do every day for X amount of time. But I think it reframes it, and like Lily also said, we're incredibly fortunate to do what we do. Uh, so just going back to that purpose and kind of remembering why you do things, I think was something that was important for me.
I was just gonna say something small too. To TCOM does kind of like required service hours, which I think like some schools probably do as well, at least a little bit, but a lot of people here will volunteer at clinics, and so it's the same experience of you're volunteering at a clinic, you see the reason why you want to do something during your first and second year, like during those preclinicals, like, oh wow, this is actually what it's going to feel like. But another thing too is you kind of find so much support in your community and even planning out like, okay, we're going to get dinner on this Thursday night after this exam, and that's the thing that I'm going to look forward to the most out of this. Like that's really getting you through or like, okay, I'm going to get off of this and I'm going to finally get to relax and do yay, like whatever. It's just nice to have like little wins throughout the week, and you honestly will have so many with your med school friends and your family and everybody. So I think just making sure that every day you realize there is a small win for you being there.
Thank you. And one of our members wanted to ask about the about finances. If y'all are comfortable, would you feel free to share about how y'all financially supported yourselves through medical school and how you were able to pay for your tuition and housing?
I could start. I will just say like generally, and I think kind of across the board, the public Texas programs have very, very affordable tuition, comparatively. And just like generally, I think the max loan offer is usually around like 5,000 or I'm sorry, $50,000 per year. I know that me and a lot of my friends, some people take the full amount, some people take, some proportion of that and their parents help them a little bit. Some people are lucky enough to have their parents help them with all of it, but I kind of think of it as like, okay, we're all kind of living on that $50,000 a year. Whether that's 100% loans or 0% loans or some proportion in between. I will say living in San Antonio, I feel like I came out ahead every year. So I feel like, I had money from jobs and savings and stuff like that. And I never felt like I was using that full amount. And every year I was coming out with, a couple thousand that would I would just keep in my savings because, I got to pay that back eventually. But that's been my experience. I can definitely acknowledge my baseline privilege in the family that I've come from, and having had the opportunity to have a job and have some savings and that security. So my experience might be different than other people's, but I will say that I've never really been in a situation where I was really worried about finances.
Kind of similar to Allison, I've also relied a lot on loans. So we are kind of fortunate here in Texas as compared to other medical schools. It's not as expensive cost of attendance, and most, if not all, financial aids will cover that cost of attendance per year. So um, different people have different levels of comfort with taking loans. What I will say is, at least here as we graduate, you're given kind of courses in terms of financial aid repayment and kind of what it looks like. And it's not as scary as kind of we all imagine a lot of the times. There are programs that allow for loan forgiveness. Obviously, with today's political climate, there's some kind of adjustment to that, and it's a little changing as it is, but those programs still do exist, and you have the ability to kind of work for, if you so choose, after you start practicing, if you work for a nonprofit hospital, which is a lot of the academic centers, for 10 years, and during those 10 years you pay off your loans. Um, and the rest after those 10 years is forgiven. That program is called PSLF. If any of y'all want to look into it, I know, like I said, loans can be kind of scary. If anyone has any kind of specific questions about that, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Allison and Pedro. Uh, Another question from a member was, which aspects of your application or portfolio do you believe made you a competitive Made you a sorry, competitive applicant?
This was so long ago for me, I actually don't remember, but I do actually want to speak of this from the other side. I actually got to serve on my school's interview committee this year, so I was interviewing a lot of people in y'all's position. And sure, there were people's applications that I read that were like, wow, that's impressive. But I almost never asked people about that. I was more giving people the opportunity to talk about what they were passionate about. And really just the things that I was looking for. Of course, like I didn't have a big say. I just wrote up my little report and gave some kind of score. But really, as long as you had, things that you could talk about that you were passionate about and you could really show enthusiasm for the school and maybe how you're going to take those things that you learned from those passion projects and kind of bring them forward into medicine. Those were the people that impressed me the most. And again, I'm not the one making the final say, but I could see how that would carry across all the interviewers and make somebody a really like highly valued applicant.
I kind of want to touch up on about like not the secondary essays, but like I think to end the essays you have like your personal statement, and you have like two other ones. I think one of them this might sound silly, but this was brought up in both my interviews, but I think it was the personal characteristics. Like it's like what do you add to like the educational setting? I think that was the question. Um, I wrote about being a barber. During my junior and second year, I learned how to cut hair, and I cut a lot of my friends' hair. I got to meet a lot of interesting people, and I expanded my social network. And I was able to like not only learn a skill, but like able to talk about it. Like I was really passionate about it, and I think that kind of like this made me like different, but in a good way. Like if you have something in your application that makes you different, if you're super interested about, let's say tennis, you play tennis, like your vibe is tennis, write about it because like you love it, you do it, and then it, if it's brought up in an interview and you're very passionate about it, it's very evident that this is something like you're really passionate about. You can talk a lot about it. I think that's like a really big part if communicate something that's not so much like academic or something that wouldn't necessarily be like on an application. Talk about it because it shows like hey, you're a human as well. Because a lot of as doctors, you need to talk to people and you need to relate to people as well. So just being more relatable and able to speak about some of your other like fun hobbies and stuff is very important.
Actually piggyback off of that too. I think, yeah, kind of like we've said before, the academic stuff is obviously very important, but I think soft skills are something that are really kind of underestimated because, yeah, like you are talking to patients every day, and it's something that we still see like when the third years start in clinic, like some of those conversations sound kind of awkward. Like you think it would be really easy to talk to people, but when you're actually in that position, you have to kind of hold yourself with a certain air of professionalism, but then still be very like approachable and like be able to explain treatment plans effectively and being able to have those conversations, being able to have those listening skills, being able to have the patient interviewing skills too, in terms of figuring out what is the real reason that's bringing them in today, what is really going on so that you can get to the root of the problem. All of that stuff, I think it's very hard to teach or learn. It's just something that kind of comes through other experiences. So talking about kind of like Bobby was saying, like being a barber, something like that would really highlight how you built those soft skills. So I think sharing some of those experiences where you're not just saying like, yes, I have these skills, like, yes, I am empathetic, or yes, I am a good communicator, but really showing like where you've kind of gained that experience from, and especially like different personalities. Yeah, you're gonna have so many different personalities come approach you, and you kind of have to be able to like handle anybody, whether it's like one of the older patients who's just like going on and on and just super chatty, whatever it might be. But they want to talk to you. And so you really have to be able to like connect with different interests and different kind of communication styles, different personality styles, even like the way that you give information. Some people want like all the details and all the like the whys behind what you're recommending. And some people just want to know, like, I don't know, what do you want to do? Like, yes, we'll do that. So being able to kind of gauge and assess what kind of communication style you need to bring forth with a specific patient too. So yes, all in all, a very long-winded answer to say that like highlight the experiences that you have had through undergrad that highlight those soft skills.
Yeah. And if you're going to just like to like ditto to everything, that was like perfect. But if you're going to like describe all these like beautiful like skills that you build up, like if you volunteered at Micah 6 or whatever, hopefully that's still a thing. But if you're like volunteering at Micah 6, they give you like X amount of characters to describe what the activity was. If you're like, oh, I helped package food and give it to blah blah blah. Like I was told that like it's good to kind of use every single character. You don't necessarily have to describe just what it is, but like why is that thing important and like how did that shape you or whatever. And like the 150 characters are given. I don't remember the exact amount, it was a while ago, but like for the actual application itself, like use all the characters and like kind of explain things a little more than just like resume like, oh, I just did this, kind of like say the importance of it. And that kind of helps too, because when they're getting thousands and thousands of applications, just reading them, they all kind of sound the same after a while because everybody's amazing. Everyone deserves to go. So if you kind of just do like little things here and there to kind of make the application pop, that also helps a little.
Thank y'all. I think we have time for just one more question. Um, that question, if you had just like one piece of advice to give your undergrad self from where you are now, what would that be? What would that be?
I'm I'm gonna say, since I'm still kind of like in my gap year, and then I'm gonna apply this upcoming cycle, and then having learned like kind of like a hard lesson of just like rushing everything. Initially when I applied, I would just tell Rebecca like, um, your race is your own. Some people are gonna go right away into medical school, and that's totally fine. You can be happy for them. Um, but just don't lose focus and start comparing yourself, because as soon as you do, you end up wasting that kind of energy that you can be using maybe just to take a look at maybe what you could be doing, or like maybe what are some weak spots that you have. So I would just say it's okay. Um, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to not start right away. It's okay that maybe you didn't perform as well in the class if that's like where you're at and you're kind of still in undergrad. It's just to learn from that so it doesn't happen again.
Mine's really cheesy, but mine is just that everything works out for the best. Like, I really do believe that at the end of the day, I didn't end up at the med school I thought I was going to. I admittedly didn't end up at the residency program that I thought I was going to, but I do really live by that motto and just like, taking what you're given and making the most of it. And not to say that I'm disappointed about University of Tennessee. It's just not the one I was expecting, but I am really excited about that opportunity because I really do think it's gonna like open a bunch of doors that I would have never even thought would have been open for me. And I think the same thing, goes for every step along the way. I didn't even end up in the specialty like that I thought I was going to. I applied OBGYN and master's OBGYN, but I mean like going into med school, I thought I would end up in a completely different specialty than what I ended up enjoying. So just everything works out for the best. Keep an open mind for to really make the most of the opportunities that come your way.
Yeah, I think Allison's point was an excellent one. Mine's also a little cheesy, but just trust the process and kind of be true to yourself the whole way. Do things that feel real to you. Like if you went into your whole life thinking you were going to be a surgeon, but then you start exploring and you're like, I like family medicine, but it's not as prestigious. Do what feels real to you and just kind of keep doing the work and trust that it will work out. As long as you do the work and you kind of follow advice, it always does work out.
Yeah, same thing. Like I said earlier, I didn't match the first, I didn't match the first time. It was heartbreaking, but it's like so good for me. I'm so glad that happened. So if you need, if you're forced to, if you want to take a gap year, like go for it. People are starting med school in their 40s with 4 kids. Like it doesn't matter how long or when you start, like you're gonna start and it'll be okay. And honestly, it'll be great. And then another thing I would have told my undergrad self is like, feel free to reach out to people. I thought it was like really scary to call admissions office and stuff, but like now knowing like the office of admissions, like oh, these people are so sweet. Like I go and talk with them. I get candy from their office. Like they're honestly there to help you. And so I like med students. Like I don't know about other schools, but our school we have like dean's ambassadors, which are like to help talk to people, do things like this. So reach out to them and yeah, don't be scared to like ask for help because that's like a really big thing to do.
Also, just want to say something I wish I could have told my undergrad self would be to like enjoy your time at UT because it's just such a unique experience. And I feel like it's really easy when you're on a pre-health profession track to like stress yourself out that I need to do research, I need to do volunteering, I need to do this, I need to do that. And you're kind of, you get a little bit application focused at one point, but make sure you take a step back and find that balance because your undergrad experience is just it's its own thing and like don't miss out on the time that you have right now.
Thank y'all so much.
All right, guys, and as we're wrapping it up, I just want to say, Alina, Bobby, Pedro, Allison, Caroline, Rebecca, yeah, Sam. I know Tanya and Lily were leaving early, but thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts just for being here. Sharing y'all's stories has really helped out a lot of us, and it's really awesome seeing your faces again and helping out future kids of Caduceus. I know your time is precious, so thank you for taking time out of your day to come share your story with us, and we really, really deeply, deeply appreciate it. So thank you so much. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and incredible rest of your journeys, and we wish you nothing but the best. So thank you.